Welcome to another edition of Soul on Soul with Phinesse. Of course, I'm your beautiful and kind host, Phinesse, back with another journey on My Soul Radio. Don't forget to follow My Soul Radio and Soul on Soul with Phinesse on all social media platforms. If this is your first time listening to us, make sure you catch us on our podcast, which is now a featured podcast on Podbean. Thank you, Podbean. And if you're looking to do a podcast, make sure you check out podbean.com. They've been great for our edition of the soul music and spotlighting music artists. And after today's show, when you want to catch this full interview, it'll be up on the Podbean podcast at podbean.com. And my guest today, ladies and gentlemen, beautiful song artist, gospel artist, R&B artist, just a talented independent artist. See, I had the chance to check them out. I check out all the artists I interview. I just don't schedule interviews. I don't check out who they are, where they come from. I like to make sure my artists are vetted so I can surprise them with questions they have no idea I'm going to ask them. But my special guest today on the show is none other than Miss Terrie Rimson of the. Are you still in Philly now?
No, I'm in Vegas.
You're in Vegas now. Okay, you're in Vegas now, where she is doing some shows. We'll get into that a little bit later on. But Miss Terrie, welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm doing great. And how are you?
I am doing very good, very good. Before we even get into this interview, what I like to do is I like to give the artists an opportunity to share their website and social media so folks can start following them while we're doing the interview.
Okay, sure. They can find me on Facebook under Terrie Rimson, TerrieRimson. You can also find me on Twitter under Sing Terrie Sing, Instagram Sing Terrie Sing. Let's see what's else. Did I get them all? Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Then my website is www.terrierimsonmusic.org.
And you know what? Let me correct myself because I said the name wrong and I asked prior to make sure I said it right. Then I said it wrong. Terrie Rimson. So I apologize and welcome to the show.
Oh, it is okay.
So Miss Terrie, let's start off. How did you get involved in this music business?
Wow. Well, I've been singing since, when you're in the church, they start you off as a toddler. So I've been singing since I could say la, 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 la. My mother trained us, as she says, from the womb. She would sing to us. She would, those mothers back then would pray over their babies as they carried them. They would sing to them. So when I, was born, she would always keep music going in the house. Even we were taking naps, music would be playing. She even does it with the grandkids now. She plays the music. And so music is like throughout, the family. I grew up around a lot of the famous artists that are in the gospel industry, such as the Clark sisters. They're like my spiritual aunts because they were there through the process of me being born. My mother is like their sister. Mattie Mouse Clark, the late Mattie Mouse Clark, Dr. Mattie Mouse Clark is my mother's godmother. So, growing up, I was always around music and surrounded by like the Hawkins and the late Daryl Coley. So these were people that I was always surrounded around. And so they would, kind of teach me different things and have me mimic them whenever they would come to the house. So music has always been a part of my life ever since I can remember. And so, of course, when you get older, they want to throw you in the choir and they, if they feel like you can hold a note, they want to throw you the mic. And, I was shy. And my mother would always say, no, you got to do this. They forced that stuff on you. Back then I was shy and I would cry. Stop crying because you're going to sing. So I used to hate that. And then she would stand me on the pew and, they used to threaten you. But then they would tell you, I'm going to give you a piece of candy when this is done, but you got to do this. But you know what? Looking back over all that, I am happy that my mother pushed me into doing this because now I enjoy singing. I have a passion for singing. I love singing and I love spreading love.
Mm-hmm. It's funny that you mentioned gospel music because I think since we've been doing Soul on Soul with Phinesse, we've only had the opportunity to interview one gospel artist who was my cousin. Because a lot of times I think a lot of artists forget that gospel is a part of soul music. Can you define what gospel music is and why it is so important in soul music?
Well, gospel music is supposed to be encouraging. It's supposed to uplift. It's to actually bring you the gospel. And anytime you don't feel something when you're singing gospel, then there's something wrong with those lyrics. It's supposed to touch the heart. It's supposed to have touch the soul, you know? And to me, that's what R&B music is, the same thing. If it's written properly with the right intent, it touches the soul. And especially if you're telling a story. You know, I enjoy telling a story when I'm singing R&B. So gospel music should touch the soul. It should touch the soul.
Right. You mentioned earlier about some of the famous gospel artists that you know, that you consider family, but you leaving something out important.
What did I leave out?
See, I know what you used to do.
Oh my God.
You actually sang background. You want to share some of those people you sang background for and what that experience was like, and what did it teach you, more importantly?
Okay, so I sung background for the late Daryl Coley. Every time he would come into our city, or there would be a concert and he was in our city, I would back him up. He would come to our church. I would back him up. And then, of course, Karen Clark Sheard, I backed her up several times whenever she would come into the city. But then, you know, she was always in and out of our home. So whenever the opportunity was there, you know, I was always allowed to back her up as well. And so that was great. And what I learned from it was discipline. Mm-hmm. I learned from it discipline. I learned how to work with others. Because, you know, in the church, sometimes when you have that nice voice, you feel like you can sing all over everybody. But when you're singing background, you have to come in together as harmony. No one is better than the other. We're actually trying to get a specific sound, which means you can't be trying to outrun the person next to you or outsing the person next to you. So it actually taught me discipline. And then I actually got to see how they are when they're in another position, because Daryl Coley was Uncle Daryl. Karen is like Aunt Karen. But when they're in their space doing what they do, then I have to kind of forget about that and realize, no, this is a whole nother situation. And you're actually being taught to know how to work in the industry. So that taught me discipline.
Mm-hmm. Okay. One of the things I always tell artists, I you know, people think because you grew up in a church, and I'm glad you talked about discipline, they don't think that people in church have a discipline when it comes to singing, that they just sing. That's not true, is it? You had to take singing lessons and voice lessons, right?
Yes, I did. My mother sent me to a music school there in Philadelphia called Settlement Music School. I went there like 3 times a week. I had to learn how to sing in Italian. And then I had to learn how to sing in French. And then when I went to high school, I went to a music magnet program in high school, which is Overbrook High School, where Will Smith, he was there. He was a scholar student. I was a music magnet student. So I went to school with him. And so she always would place me in different things that would keep training me. And not only that, she would put me in acting school. Well, some people was like, well, why would she do that? It's discipline. It was discipline, because when you go to acting school, they're teaching you different skills that you're going to even need as a singer. So, you know, I went to modeling school because I was shy. So she felt like, you know, if I put her out there, put her before these people, they can help break the shyness. Again, it was all discipline. So you have to have training. And you're right. It's a lot of indie artists out there that are gospel and that are secular, that they feel like they don't need training. And I just said this on an interview just yesterday with someone, that's where we mess up. We need training. And let me tell you, even though I backed up and I grew up around these different people, when it was time for me to go into the booth, when it was time for me to have to put a song in place for me to produce, I had to have vocal producers come in and train me and tell me, no, you cannot sound like this. No, that's wrong. No, you have too much vibrato. And, you know, when you're singing gospel, it's a lot of, you can do that. But, you know, when you're going and you're transforming over to doing secular, sometimes what the church will allow, you can't do that when you're doing secular. So I had to have vocal producers come in, and I had to be disciplined. And I couldn't get upset, you know, when they were telling me certain things I couldn't do. And I'm telling you something real funny. one of my vocal producers, I said to him, I was like, I don't like you anymore, because he was so hard on me. In love. He was like, I don't give a, if you don't like me, we trying to win a Grammy. He said, so I don't care if you don't like me. Now, come on, let's finish this song. And he meant it in love. And it's true. They don't care if you don't like them. We want the best. So a lot of indie artists are missing out on the discipline and hearing what's not good and what's good. And they're just going in there wasting money, thinking that this is a good song and nobody's telling them the truth. And they're putting all these auto tunes on everything. And then when we go to hear you live, you don't sound like what you sounded like in that booth. You got to be able to give us that and more. And that's one thing that surprises people with me. You know, I'm kind of mild-mannered. I sing soft and cute, but get me live. Oh, honey, I'm going to take you there. I'm going to give you everything that I can give you. But in the studio, I can't do all of that. So, yeah, it's a whole nother situation.
Miss Terry, I'm going to call you Auntie. You family now. So you Auntie Terry.
All right.
I really thank you for dropping that knowledge, because a lot of young artists today don't want to hear the truth. They just want to be told that they sound good and that's it. And the industry setting them up for failure. So I thank you so much for sharing the truth with everyone out there that's listening. I appreciate that. This is Soul on Soul with Phinesse. My special guest, Auntie Terrie Rimson, here with us today. And when we come back, because we're going to take our first break, when we come back, I want to talk to her about some of her side endeavors. Because of music, she's been able to do this. And I want to talk about probably the biggest influence in my life, which is the 90s, and how that is inspiring her for her style of music it is today. Don't go anywhere. Soul on Soul with Phinesse, Terry and Phinesse. We'll be right back.
This music up so we can dance the night away. Let's party, slow jams. Friday night we can do it right. This is not a 9 to 5. We can dance the sunlight. We can slow it down. So you understand, it's for everybody to dance and wave your hand. When the music feels so good. These days are brand new, so do you mind if I dance with you? This is not a 9 to 5. We can dance to sunrise. We can dance to sunrise, sunrise. This is not a 9 to 5. We can dance to sunrise. We can dance to sunrise. Looking forward to the weekend. It's been a long day, but it's okay. So watch me light the dance floor tonight. So you understand, it's for everybody to dance and wave your hand. Hey, these days are brand new, so do you mind if I dance with you?
Welcome back, Soul on Soul with Phinesse. And you know, folks, I tell you guys, every artist I have on, they get adopted into the Soul on Soul family. I got a bunch of uncles, a bunch of cousins. Now we got our first. We got our auntie. Auntie Terry Rimson is in the house.
Yes.
Listen, she dropping jewels on you folks today. So we're going to keep the interview going. Auntie Terry, before I begin, I always ask my artists, who are some of your favorite artists growing up that had an influence on you?
Whoa, growing up. Okay, well, Natalie Cole, that was the first person my mother introduced me to her music. Natalie Cole, Shaka Khan, Patti LaBelle. I'm trying to think. Those were my favorite, and Aretha Franklin. Those were my favorites growing up.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I said before the break, I wanted to talk because I was reading information about you, and you were saying how your style is reminiscent of the 90s R&B, Mary J. Blige, the Faith Evans. That was my era. For me, that was the Motown for us that was in the music business, started off as a DJ for us. And I felt just like Motown era got pushed aside, I felt like the 90s got pushed aside, it just disappeared. Like we only really had probably from 89 to probably about 98, 99, but the era was still big on music. How do you bring that influence into your music and make it acceptable to this new generation of folks who, in my opinion, don't know what R&B or soul music is?
Absolutely, absolutely. You know what helps me out is my son. Mm-hmm. My son is actually helping me bridge the gap because he's 30, you know, I'm 53. And so it's actually helping me be able to come together with the millennials to help connect and bridge that gap. Because, you know, the millennials, a lot of them, they like that trap sound. Mm-hmm. I'm not favorable of it, but I told my son, now, if you can give me the 90s and mix it in with the trap sound, he said, oh, simple. I got that. So I thank God for my son because he's at the right age where he understands what I'm trying to do. And he understands both sides because he's one that he understands the millennials, then he understands what I'm saying. And the thing about it is he absolutely loves the 90s era and the 80s era. So it's simple to work with him. So I guess it's basically who you work with that understands what you're trying to convey to the audience and your listeners.
Mm-hmm. You know, I want to expound on the 90s for a second. What is your thoughts on, because we're around the same age. I'm 54, you're 53. Okay. But there was an era in the 90s that was just unbelievably magical, as in the word to say. How would you describe the 90s and the sound you're trying to bring out today to everybody?
To me, it was authentic. Mm-hmm. It was authentic in talking about love. You know, some kind of way we drifted off into this ratchet stuff. I'm sorry, whoever gets offended when they hear it. You know, to me, it's ratchet now. It's not love anymore. To me, it's just sex. And back then we talked about love, being in love. And even if we had to tell the story about falling out of love and the process of getting back in love and how to love somebody, how to respect our women, how to respect our men, the beauty of love. Now it's like these young folk coming up now, there is no beauty in love. It's like relationship. It's over, done with. I'm with somebody else. You know, you just an overnight thing. And I don't want to go ahead of you. And that's basically why I did the new song that's going to be dropping. It's not worth it because, you know, I want, you know, them to hear that it's not worth it to get into a relationship and you're not being honest with the person. You're saying, hey, this is what it is. I'm not in love with you. We just having fun so that no hearts will be broken. But now we got a generation now. They like, oh, we're just doing it for fun. No, breaking hearts is not fun. And that's not what this is all about. It should be about respecting one another and being honest up front and say, okay, yo, there's nothing serious here. You know, if you let people know that in the beginning, I think things would move a little smoother. And, you know, I'm a woman and, you know, we're sensitive. The first time a man act like he like us, we ready to go buy a wedding book, thinking we about to get married. He can say, you look good. You can think he in love with you. So, you know, I think that, and that's just not for women, men as well. There's some men out there that are sensitive like that. A woman may make him think the same thing. So I just think that we just got to, you know, set some boundaries, have respect for one another. And I think we've lost that in the generation that's coming behind us. It's all about a quick thing and who I can get and how many I can get. And, you know, if I buy you this drink, then maybe you'll go home with me. But in the morning, you got to go. No, we got to be grown about this and teach those that's coming behind us. This is responsibility. This is a responsibility situation. If you get somebody pregnant, that's a responsibility. You know, I don't want to sound like I'm preaching, but this is what it is. And I feel like we got to bring that 90s feeling back. It's such a good feeling when you go back and you hear the stories about how they fell in love and the beauty of love. The color is no longer there.
And I got to ask you before we take this, our second break, being a woman who's older that's in this music business, especially being an independent artist, what advice would you give to women that just say, you know what, I'm older, I want to do this music business? Is there ever any nervousness for you? What would you tell them to encourage them to pursue their passion if this is what they want to do?
Oh yeah, it's always a nervousness because it seems like the men are the one that control the industry. And then of course, you know, you still have those out there that, you know, they want you to do something for them so that they can do something for you so that you can advance. I'm like this, God called me to do this. I'm not trying to sleep my way to the top. If God don't open the door, then the door just won't be open. So you have to really love yourself, respect yourself, and realize what is for you. God will open up that door for you. But, you know, that's when people just have to have Christ in their life. You know, I always got to throw that in there. If you don't have a relationship with God and know his voice, you're going to fall into diverse temptations. Not that temptation is not going to come knocking on your door. It knocks on my door every day, in my inboxes, in my messenger, in my text messages. You know, it happens all the time, but you got to know what type of goal you're trying to meet. You got to be able to respect yourself. Where are you trying to go? And again, like my song say, it ain't worth it.
Auntie Terry dropping some knowledge, boy, on you folks today. You know, that's why it's a beautiful thing to have some lovely women around you, because they're going to correct your thinking when it's off. So that's what Auntie Terry is here today. She's here to correct your thinking in the music business, because some of y'all just off. And let me add the full to it. So some of y'all just off full, but we're going to get that corrected today. We got Terry Rimson with us today. When we come back, we're going to talk about her latest project and more about her music. But before we do that, Auntie Terry, I want you to introduce your latest song, because we're going to play that before we go into break. So go ahead and introduce that for us.
My next song is It's Not Worth It, dropping on Black Friday. Yes, I cannot wait for you all to hear this, hear which way it's going. It's going to be a truthful story. Many of you all are going to be able to relate to it. And again, it's called It's Not Worth It. And it's not, y'all.
Say it's only worth it when it's on Soul on Soul Phinesse. Here it is right now. And we'll be right back with more Terry. Auntie Terry, that is. Soul on Soul Phinesse. We'll be right back.
All right, so I love you. I love this relationship. But
why do you use that word love? I don't think you love it.
I actually mean it. I actually mean it. So you can't really. No, you're not even letting me finish, though.
No.
Like, you're not letting me finish. Okay, well, let me ask you a question. Since you're about to leave the door, like, doesn't the good time, doesn't that matter to you? Are you finna let all this go? Is that what you finna do?
Honey, not at the expense of my broken heart. Love of my life, you asked for the chance to be your wife. Waste of my time. Had me thinking you were Mr. Right. Yeah, you was putting work, don't compare to the hurt. Did you ever take the time to see? Did you know that we weren't meant to be? So listen. Time isn't worth the broken heart. No, 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 no. Time isn't worth the broken heart. Isn't worth the broken heart. Time isn't worth the broken heart. Isn't worth it. Time isn't worth the See, you did not read between the lines. Chasing statues, that loneliness is how I feel sometimes. It's all in the past now, look at what we made now. Only thing in my life that's right now. Only thing that I'll never regret now. So listen.
Back, Auntie Terry dropping jewels. That's a hot song, giving me that 90s vibe. I'm ready to go out and go get Teddy Riley and go get a remix on this. Teddy, call me so we can do a remix on this. Can we get one of my old school rappers on here to do the remix vocals on
Yes.
So let's talk, because you've had some previous projects. Some of it was gospel, and then you moved to R&B. Can you talk about your transition in the music business and where folks can go to actually hear and maybe see some of your older music?
Yes, absolutely. So if you go look me up under Terrie Rimson, I have 2 singles out there. Oh, 3. It's called I Was Created. It's my gospel single, I Was Created. And also Zion. That's another one. And then Blessing Me. Blessing Me was the last one that I did. You can find Blessing Me on SoundCloud. But the other ones you can find on iTunes, Amazon, wherever you can digitally download it. I Was Created and Zion, and then Blessing Me is on SoundCloud. And then from there, I went to doing the R&B soul, and you can look up the album Threads of Love. And it's under my name, Terry Rimson. The title of the project again is Threads of Love. And you will love that album. It is my freshman album. It's when I first got into doing the R&B and soul, and you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it.
So let me ask this question, because one of the things I used to love about Brian McKnight was he did what people call secular music, but he always had a spiritual or gospel track on his record every time, didn't matter what it was. Are you doing more of that same, or do you find it hard to mix the both, or to you it doesn't matter?
You know what? I'm going to be doing the same moving forward. I was trying to kind of enter into the R&B soul world, so I didn't want to put that on it since I was just making a transition from gospel to R&B soul. So I says, I will leave it off. But going into this new album that we're working on to come out, yes, it will be an inspirational song on there. And moving forward, it'll always be an inspirational song on there.
All right. And why is that so important to you to make sure you have inspirational music on your projects moving forward?
Because actually, I'm a Christian. I am a Christian. And as you asked me, what was gospel? Gospel is good news. So I need to make sure that there is something on there that represents good news, because, I'm going to be talking about love, but then I also need to slide in there good news because I'm a witness. He's actually trusting me to be a witness. So I don't ever want to shut that door and never push that aside. I don't want to forget my roots and forget where I came from, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be where I am right now. And so I haven't left God. What I did was I wanted to broaden my spectrum. Instead of being boxed in by the church, I said, no, I know that the world needs to hear me. So why not put where I came from and my roots and what I believe in on to my secular album?
And I noticed that you are back touring again, and everything you're saying is so true, because I see you're performing in Vegas, I believe, at a hookah bar
Yes.
And you're going on a road. Talk about some of your performances, or where people can go and check to see where you're performing if you're coming to a city or state near them.
Now I go back and forth from LA and Vegas. So I'm in LA a lot. I'm in Vegas, of course. I performed here at several venues. I just got 3 offers last night. I performed last night at, oh my God, it was such overwhelming love because I've been here for a year and a half and my name is circulating. And I went to this venue last night called The Space LV. And it was a fundraiser for the Philharmonic LV, Las Vegas. And I sung one song. It was, it was a 90s. So we just did 90s music. And man, I got so much love from the people that were there. And I wasn't really expecting that much love and so many people to remember me from my name circulating here in the city. And I mean, I am loving Vegas. I've performed at the Sterling Club. I performed at the Rio Hotel. I performed at the Tuscany. I performed at Treasure Island. I've performed at Cork and Thorn. So many people that live here in the city, they'll understand these names that I'm calling. But, it's just like, I never know what's going to happen from day to day because the calls always keep coming in. And so I'm just grateful that my name is circulating in a great way. Because when I came here, I came during pandemic. And so it caused me to have to work really hard to get my name out there. While a lot of people were sitting at home and upset saying there was no work to be done, I was here networking because I knew that the pandemic was going to lift. So the time that they was chilling, I was networking. And when everything started opening back up, God started making room for me. And I am so glad that I followed his voice, moved here to Vegas and trusted him because you got to work hard here in Vegas. If you're going to move here to Vegas and get into the entertainment, you can't come here being lazy. And they work hard here. All the independent artists and the artists here, they work hard. And so if they feel like you're coming here for a handout, they will shut you down. They will not even let you in. So, I appreciate Vegas because it's taught me a lot being here. And so I'm enjoying it and I'm just waiting for some more doors to open, and doors have opened, like I told you, until they're confirmed. I don't want to announce it, but it's always posted on my social media where I'm going to be at, where I'm performing. I even put on my own shows, such as the Hookah Lounge, which you saw. Mm-hmm. So I'm so independent as an artist that I push myself. I don't wait for anybody to push me. I will put on my own show and invite people to come. And then I'll put on other independent artists here in the city and bring them in with me so that we can work as a family. Nobody's bigger or better than anybody. So I have no problem putting other artists on here in the city whenever I set my own stage for myself. So, yeah.
It's interesting because in checking up your background, you were born and raised, I believe, in Oakland, which is another musical Black town. A lot of independent artists from even in the beginning, from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. There's always been an independent Black art movement there. And then you move to the city of brotherly love, where there's nothing better than Philly and the Philly sound. So you have all that and that. How much have those two cities, no matter how young you were, but the musical influence, how much of an influence did that shape you as far as a music artist?
Moving to Philly, I was there during high school, so it kind of taught me the fundamentals of music. As far as entertainment, I didn't learn how to really get into the entertainment part of it until I moved to Detroit, Michigan. And then I learned more about it when I moved to Vegas.
You need all the spots with the entertainment. Wow, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So each city taught me something. And you got to glean what you can glean. And, they say spit the bones out that you don't want to eat, take the meat and spit the bones out. I did because, even in gospel taught me a lot too. It was some painful moments when I was doing gospel. It was because it's very, again, no throw off to the gospel world, but it's the truth. It's very cliquish. So it was from painful moments, and I know I'm gifted and anointed to do what I do. But if you're not a part of certain cliques, they will push you to the side. And I am one that gives everything I got. And I just was getting drained because I'm like, I'm giving you everything that I have. And because I'm not a part of your clique, then you don't want to advance me. So it was very painful, but it made me strong. You know, I wouldn't be able to deal with the secular if I didn't come through the route of the church. You know, the church is what made me strong to be able to deal with the secular. So everything that I went through, the processing that I went through, it made me who I am today. So, yeah.
All right. We're going to take our final break. And when we come back, we're going to wrap things up with Auntie Terry Rimson. And that's my auntie. She's your auntie when you listen to the show. So make sure you check her out on all social media platforms. But we got more on the way as we wrap things up. Soul on Soul with Phinesse, Auntie Terry Rimson. We'll be right back.
Been dreaming of you. Please hold me tight, 'cause I can't help the way that I feel. I just can't help the way that I feel. Deep in the night, you took my heart. Now danger's inside, 'cause I can't
Well, that almost does it for this edition of Soul on Soul with Phinesse. But before I go, I got to let Auntie Terry Rimson share some final words with you folks out there when it comes to her music, when it comes to whatever advice she wants to give you. So I'm going to turn the floor over to my auntie and let her do her thing.
Hey, everybody. This is for all of my artists that are listening, whether you are writing a book, if you are a cook, whatever you do, I want to encourage you to just keep running. Don't give up. Don't listen to the naysayers. If you have a dream, go forth with it, but also get some type of classes or some type of education under your belt. You don't want to go out there, as they say, willy-nilly. You need to make sure you're going and you're getting information. Information will advance you. You can't do this on your own. Then also get a team. It's really lonely out there when you don't have a team that supports your vision. If you get a strong team that supports your vision, there's nothing in this world that can stop you from reaching your goal. So for everybody listening to Auntie Terry, be encouraged and don't give up. Whatever you do, hold on to what God has promised you.
And I'm going to end it with this. Don't chase dollars because it doesn't make sense. Figure that out and you'll survive. That's going to do it for this edition of Soul on Soul with Phinesse. Auntie Terry Rimson is in the house. Make sure you check her out on all social media platforms. Buy a ticket, tell a friend to tell a friend, whatever it is you got to do. Auntie Terry, you are more than welcome to come back into the house of Soul on Soul with Phinesse and My Soul Radio. And when we start doing shows here in Baltimore and Atlanta, you're going to be one of those artists we call to come up and perform. All right?
Thank you.
No problem. Until we meet again next Sunday, 10 p.m., My Soul Radio. This is Soul on Soul with Phinesse. You have a great week. We'll see you next week. Peace.
Say you love me. Say I'm the one your eyes see. Tell me you need me, you need me. Deep down inside, like I need you, you see. I need you to see me through. I just want to hear you say, baby, 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 I love you. Through the rain and through the cold, together we can never grow old. Sometimes the going can get a little tough. There'll be too many times, my Lord, the road's gonna get a little rough, but I need you to see me through. I just wanna hear you say, baby, 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 I love you. Say you love me. let's get back to the matter. I just want you to say it. Say you love me. And make sure you don't tell nobody else. I just want to hear you say it. Say it. Say it.
Soul on Soul with Phinesse. 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 This has been another Soul Media production.